Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Moss Jackson. Welcome to Mondays with Moss. Well, here we are. We got about a week to go or so before our national election for President of the United States. And we all want a result, one way or the other. Some of you want a Republican to win. Some of you want a Democrat to win. We all want a result. So life is often about, what are the results we want? And are we creating and practicing a life that allows us to get what we want? Hopefully we're getting more of what we want than what we don't want. So today's conversation is about having a results orientation, a way of thinking about moving towards what's important to you. So you it's like in baseball. In baseball, if you hit the ball safely 3 times out of 10, that's a 300 batting average. That will get you into the Hall of Fame if you do that year after year. So what I'm looking for in my life, and hopefully to give to you, is to give you the ability to hit 300, 325, 280, maybe for some of you, 400. But none of us are ever going to be perfect. We're never always going to get what we want. But having a results orientation, way of thinking about what's important. So maybe I've asked you this question before. It's kind of a silly question. How do you eat an elephant? I often ask my kids that, my teenagers, my adults that, and most of the time people look at me like, who wants to eat an elephant? I say, well, it's a what do you call it? A metaphor. It's an analogy. I'm not sure what the proper term is. And some of them say, oh, you eat it one bite at a time because it's obvious. You're talking about a really big task. I said, that's exactly it. You get something done by doing small chunks at a time. So that's the question I'm going to answer today. How do you eat an elephant? We all want success. We all want to achieve our goals, satisfy our desires. We want to make our dreams come true. We've been dreaming since we're little kids. What am I going to get for Christmas? What am I going to get for Hanukkah? What am I going to get when I go to high school? So, but the question is, how are you doing? Are you succeeding, moving towards your goals, learning as you go? Are you able to tolerate the difficulties and bounce back? Or are you floundering? Do you tend to find yourself stuck, overwhelmed, and losing faith that life's going to turn out? Whatever it is, relationship, work, an athletic pursuit, a project, financial. So my navigating for success, having the life you want, a life of success, accomplishment, and satisfaction is designed to give this to you through the tools I've been teaching over the last 4 or 5 months. So there's a journey. All of us are on a journey. Sometimes we are in a good part of the journey. Sometimes we're in the bad part of the journey. When you go away on vacation, you want it to be perfect. But sometimes it rains. And you got to figure out what to do. When it's sunny, you want to get out on the beach and have a good time. But you want to be flexible. So all of us are on a journey. So I remember one part of my journey. Well, actually, I was having breakfast with my wife this morning. So let me tell you about that. And I was saying to her, I was having a conversation with my daughter yesterday. We went to the gym together. And she asked me how it was for me getting older. So I said, well, it's not that bad considering my balance sucks. I don't have the strength I used to have. I can't run anymore because of an injury. I got some medical issues. My memory sucks. I have a chronic inflammatory disease. But besides all that, my life's going pretty well. So I'm on that part of the journey, and I'll tell you a little bit how I'm handling that either later or another time. But I remember a time, so I was talking to my wife this morning about that conversation. I said to her, one of the things I really enjoy watching on TV, on my Facebook, is the Olympic channel and watching runners run the quarter mile, half mile, or mile. Because I used to be a competitive runner back in those days. And I just said, how do you feel when you watch them? So I used to feel jealous because I could never run that fast, but now I really enjoy their athleticism. And nowadays I look at, for me in my stage of life and my faculties and my ability, I like to take a fast walk. I like to walk, if it's not 10,000 steps, 5,000, not 5,000, 3,000. But I enjoy on a daily basis moving my body through space. So that's the result that I would like to get. I'm no longer holding on to the expectation I'm going to break any records. So part of what's important in a results orientation is altering your expectations so they make sense. So when I was in high school, I want to go back to this because I think often about high school. I was distracted a lot, poor concentration, terrible follow through. I think I had undiagnosed ADHD. Okay, I was jealous of my friends Bert, Barney, and George. They just seemed to handle the academics so well. They got A's. I struggled with B's and sometimes C's. And I got one failure. I flunked high school algebra, second year algebra. So I was always concerned about, wondering how do they do it and I don't. I never asked them. Is that kind of silly? You know, they had something. They knew how to do something that I didn't know, but I didn't even think. Ask them. But when I got to finished college, went to graduate school, then about 2007, I decided to write a book. I wanted to write a book about success, about navigating for success. I called my brother, who is a brilliant writer, very accomplished. And I said to him, how do you do it? He said, well, I don't think he used the expression, how do you eat an elephant? But basically he said, what you do every day, you set aside 30 minutes, you sit down at your computer or your pad, and for 30 minutes you write or you reflect. And you don't get up. Hi, Thomas. And you don't reflect. You don't get up. You do one bite at a time. So 1 year later, I did that. I followed it religiously. Didn't even think about it. I could handle 1/2 hour, 30 minutes at a time. 1 year later, I had the book, had it published, and it's now on Amazon. So there was no suffering, no frustration, no disappointment. It was a results orientation that worked. So my intention today is to share with you how to get things done, how to stay on track, be relentless in going for what you want, and always moving towards your goal, no matter what. It could be a little bit each day. It could be 1,000 steps, 2,000, 3,000, but not to overwhelm yourself. But what's typical? Because I don't think typically we set our clarity on our desire, goal, or wish and figure out a plan and then move on a regular basis, regular rhythm towards that. We kind of flounder. So I'm going to talk about a youngster I'm seeing, a really smart kid who I like a lot. And he went to college not too long ago, and he got a scholarship. He was really excited about it. But one day he called me up midterm and said, I think I'm going to commit suicide. I said, wow, that sounds pretty serious. What's going on? He says, well, I may lose my scholarship. I said, what happened? He says, well, I have to maintain a B+ average to keep my scholarship. And right now I'm getting C's. My grades are really low. I said, well, you're only a month into this semester. I said, I know, but if I don't improve it, but anyway, he got caught up in the drama, in the pain, and the despair and the shame he would feel if he lost the scholarship. So what we did was I got him back on track by helping him self-regulate. First of all, calm down. It's very hard to make a powerful decision and get back on track if you're deregulated, too much anxiety, too much fear. And then we looked at what was the desired goal and then what were the actions he could take. I wanted to remind him about the results orientation. I wanted to teach him that because he has ADD too, and I could understand what he was going through. So we clarified the desired goal, which was to get a B+ average, and then we decided on what the actions were. The actions were to find a partner, an accountability partner, and he had somebody who could do that, with whom he could make a promise. Today, I'm going to spend a half hour or an hour working on these 2 or 3 subjects, whatever they were, and to report at the end of the day. And they did it with each other. Okay? That's called an accountability partner. It's somebody who keeps us on track. Okay. Second, we figured out a daily schedule of the subjects he had to work on, particularly the long-term projects, because that's what he had difficulty with. He also decided to go to the Learning Center and get a tutor, someone who could teach him long-term thinking, long-term project management, and get him back on his attention deficit medication. Those were the 4 high-impact actions. The perspective I had with him was to calm him down, recreate the map, and figure out the high-impact actions. So why should you learn a results orientation? Why should you learn how to design Well, if you design something, if you make a model plane, for example, as a kid, I used to like that. And sometimes I would not read the directions. I would just kind of leap into it because I was excited to get the plane. But it rarely turned out well. My cousin Steve was a brilliant plane builder. I asked him, how'd you do that? He says, well, I follow the directions. So following the directions, having a design. Hey, Jeff, having a design, a plan, can often keep you focused to allow you not to feel, even when you get confused, go back to the plan. You know, if you get anything from a store that you have to put together, if you don't follow the directions, you lose the bolts. You lose IKEA, for example. I used to get IKEA stuff, and I hated it because I couldn't figure it out. My wife would say, well, look at the design. So if I did, I had a plan. So a life design is like that. It's a map that gives us a direction in which to move. If your life turned out, here's an exercise you might think about. Take any area. It could be work, it could be relationships, it could be your health. Think about this. If your life turned out great and you really were able to succeed in what was important to you in that particular area, how would it look like in 5 years? Okay? And then another exercise, similar, think about if 5 years down the road, it turned out lousy. You didn't do what you should do. You didn't have a design. You didn't choose actions. You were not resilient. You got distracted. Thirdly, another one, if you didn't do anything, you kind of lived your life the way you've always lived it, what would happen? So ideally, if you constructed a design, second, if it turned out to be a disaster, and thirdly, if it did nothing. So look at that from the standpoint, gee, if I had a map and followed the map, would that add value? Would that increase my batting average? Can I go from 220 to 250 to 250 to 275? I remember when I was a kid, around 13 to 14, I moved from Brooklyn to New Jersey. In Brooklyn, we played stickball, very different. In New Jersey, they played baseball. And I had trouble hitting the ball. My average was about 200. So I asked my friend to teach me how to hit the ball. And over the spring and the summer, I moved my average from about 225 to 301. So we had a design, and every time we had time to go out in the schoolyard or in the weekend, we spent 6 hours. You know, we'd go down to the railroad tracks. We'd get those heavy stones, and we had a whole bucket of stones, and he would throw the stones towards me, and I hit them with a baseball bat. Eventually, I could hit them with a broomstick. So we had a plan that we practiced, high-impact actions, because the result was I wanted to be a valued member of the team, and I wanted to make the team. Okay? So I want to give you some best practices. So if you were interested in improving your batting average, getting more of the results you want, here are some practices, here are some keys. I think definitely you need a map. We need a map that allows us to say, this is what I want, this is the goal I'm going for, this day, this week, this month, quarter, year, whatever it is, and these are the actions I can take. Because remember we talked not too long ago last week, the success formula for life is success equals passion. Be passionate about something. Set some goals. Figure out several actions to take on a daily basis. Take those actions and be resilient over and over and over again. And you'll improve your life batting average. So one is create the map. Two, the Pareto principle. We talked about this. What are the few actions that if you took it on a regular basis would give you the biggest bang for the buck? I once interviewed the most successful salesperson in a real estate company and asked him, what do you do that makes you so successful? He says, well, follow me for a day, you'll see. So I tracked him for a day. That was really kind of cool. And what he basically did, he didn't go to the coffee cooler, he didn't chat, did not look at emails very much, spent no time on social media. He basically thought about where could he do prospecting. Prospecting is looking for possible clients. Then he would qualify them. He would call them up or have a secretary or assistant call them up. If they had some interest in selling their house or buying a house over the next 2 years, that was a prospect. And then he would keep them in the pipeline and he would constantly do that. Those would be the feeders for his making presentation. So that was the best practice that worked for him. May not be a best practice for other salespeople, but it worked for him. The key was he practiced the Pareto principle, those few actions that could produce the biggest bang for a result. Really important to keep your North Star, what's important to you, and your daily intention. Now my North Star is having a great life, having a creative life, and being healthy. So that's my North Star. And each day I have intention. So I might say to myself today, I'm practicing who I am is I'm healthy, vital, and strong. Or today I'm going through the day with open heart and open mind. Now for me, what that means, that's a growth mindset. I'm open to learning, listening to people, sharing my ideas, not taking things personally. It's an intention that kind of guides me on what path to take. Well, the third one is practice high-impact actions. Now, Tony Schwartz wrote a book on high performance. And he says high performance is like a sprint. You can't sprint the whole day. You can sprint for a while, and then you've got to recover. So if you watch guys running a 100-yard dash, hey, Larry, good to see you. If you're running a 100-yard dash, you run qualifying rounds. So you might run 3-4 races in a day. You can't run 3 or 4 races one after the other. You run a race, and then you rest for a half hour. So he talks about high performance as a combination of sprint for about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours at the most, and then you rest, you recover. You need the recovery time. If you don't have recovery time, by 3:30, 4, you're down in your thinking and effectiveness and energy by around 30-40%. So high performance is choose the actions, work really hard, sprint at them, put your blinders on like a horse. Do not see left, right, just focus really intense. Be obsessed, but then take a break, take a walk, do something to relax. And do 3 things a day towards your goal. Little bites. Another key skill, and by the way, I'm giving you these ideas. So take 1 or 2 or 3 of them, see which ones make sense. They're all going to be posted here so you can read them if you don't have a notebook and can't write them down. Remember this, not all time is equal. There's a certain time during the day when you have more energy and more focus. Most high performers do better early in the morning. They get up early. They may get up an hour, half hour earlier than they normally do. I know one guy who gets up at 5 o'clock every day. That's the time that he goes to the gym religiously, and then he spends the next hour after he cleans up thinking about the day, planning the day, and doing the big. You know the expression, Harry. If you have a frog to swallow it the first thing in the morning. So he takes the big thing, does it the first thing in the morning, the high priority item, and then he moves into the day. So think about when's the best time of the day for you to do your heavy lifting, okay? Another really important key to keep yourself focused towards your results is treat failure as an investment. Learn from your mistakes. Don't internalize it. It's not about you. You made a mistake. Learn about it. You're not the mistake. The action was a mistake. You failed at something, but you're not a failure. Don't internalize it. Failing does not equal you are a failure. Walt Disney, Edison, Lincoln, Bill Gates. There's so many famous people who failed many, many times. I think Walt Disney was told he wasn't creative enough, but he kept at it. I think Lincoln failed at political office, running for political office 15 times. The 16th time, he got a kind of a county representative or something. He was unrelenting. He's relenting. He just kept going. I think it's also important to train and learn every day. Read something every day, or look on YouTube and follow somebody you like. I've been following Simon Sinek lately, and following another guy, William Huff, who does breathing exercises. So I've been thinking about them a lot. So that helps me to stay focused. Invest in yourself. You know, if you invest in anything, and you improve 1% a day, 1% a day you improve. So it could be, let's say I can run a certain distance. I want to improve my speed. If I can improve that 1% a day, at the end of a year, I've improved over 3,000%. Peter Sheintalk, I haven't seen you for years. Hi, buddy. If you improve 1% a year, 1% a day, at the end of the year, you're ahead 3,000%. One bite at a time, folks. One bite at a time. Really neat exercise to do, a key to have a results orientation. At the end of the day, don't go over what you didn't do. Go over what you liked. What did you feel good about? I took that walk. I called a friend. I reached out to someone in need, helped out a customer, completed a deal, did an hour of prospecting. I took some recovery time. I ate well, okay? Hi, Rachel. Rachel Jackson, my niece. Ooh, so cool. So a victory log is just keeping track of what did you do well. Go to bed with thinking, hey, I did some things I like. Not the big things. Forget the big things. One bite at a time. Go to bed with small bites, not a big bite. It will give you indigestion anyway. Okay, another one is really important. Manage your beliefs. Are you the kind of person who thinks you have to be perfect? Do you think the more money you make, the happier you'll be? Do you think that you're not smart enough? These are really damaging beliefs that will stop you from producing your results. What you think produces a mindset. Your brain gets wired to go in grooves according to what you think, and what you think is what you produce. So this is not today about how to change those beliefs. I'll talk about that later, another time. But you have to know your limiting beliefs and think, because if you're not happy with your success, stop blaming the world or other people. Go into your beliefs. Do you have any negative beliefs that limit your capacity to break through from 220 hitter up to a 300 hitter? So the context of what I'm talking about here is over the last several months, we've been talking about, we talked about the invisible forces that control us, which is really your limiting beliefs. We talked about some of the tools in the toolkit, self-awareness, self-control of fear, self-control of anger. We talked about resilience. Last week I gave you the Navigating for Success formula, and today we're talking about a results orientation. These are some tools that you can use to clarify your dreams and your goals. A toolkit for success. A toolkit, you're carrying a toolkit, carrying an imaginary toolkit. And it's all here for you. You can look at the videos anytime you want. Keep looking at them. Read my book, Navigating for Success. If you're interested in, I got a few books, but that's the one I like. I think I really like that one the best. That's on Amazon. But I hope you stay tuned. Hope you continue working with me as a way of developing a point of view that you deserve to be happy. You deserve to live an extraordinary life. But you got to put some work into it. Next week, on Monday, we're going to talk about courage. Courage. Because sometimes you got to get a backbone. You got to get the balls to be able to say, I'm going to do this even though I'm scared. Have the fear, do it anyway. Okay, folks? So in the meantime, think about what you want. Think about, do you have a plan? Think about, look over some of the videos. Is there any skill that's missing and you need some coaching? Follow this. Give me a call. Be glad to help. But next week, let's see what happens. We're going to talk on Monday, a day before the election, and the anxiety in the world, the excitement on the United States is increasing. So keep your focus. Don't let this whole political thing throw you off track. You deserve to live a great life. See ya.